So I gotta ask, is it AllmightZW? Is that how you'd say it?
It's AllmightZW. So All Might from a anime character, then the ZW because of from Zim. Who's
Um,
the noisy one between the two?
the yellow one. The yellow one's the noisy one. He might make a lot of sound. I don't know why he does that, but he'll probably be squawking throughout this whole thing. All right. So it was funny when you said that you were from Zimbabwe. I was reading through your little questionnaire thing, and you said that you were from Zimbabwe, and I was like, no way. Like, all right, no, yeah, like okay, maybe, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you are from Zimbabwe. So, all right, all right.
Yeah. Uh, we're from a country where we're made fun of more than anything else. One of the few countries in the 21st century where I've held $1 trillion note. Man, and yet it wasn't enough to get onto public transport. So that that was
Okay, real like it's the $1 trillion note is not enough to get onto public transportation.
yeah, it wasn't. That was in around 2008, and then luckily, well, sort of got rid of all that, started from scratch, which we did several times, by the way. Like
Hmm.
inflation would hit so bad, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, bread now costs 100,000."
Yeah.
So that it's easier. Let's just slash zeros. So what was 100,000 is now $10, for example, so that your bread is $10 in essence. And then in like 3 weeks, we'd be back where we were like 3 weeks before. Bread is 100,000 again.
Okay, man.
It was crazy. Prices would literally change while you were in the shop. So you're walking in the aisle towards the bread, and you can see a dude there changing the price. Like, oh, 5 seconds earlier it should have been $1. It's two now, man. Like, it was,
Oh my goodness, that's insane. Holy shit. I'm sorry, man. Goodness gracious.
well, we lived through it somehow. It's better now. We Inflation isn't as bad, and for most things, we're just pegging against the US dollar. So
Hmm.
whenever anyone's doing something for you, they'll hardly ever tell you the price in Zim dollar. They'll just say, "Yo, look, if you want me to mow your lawn, it's $20," and then like, "Oh, okay." And then you can always then decide if you want to pay it in local currency or not, because every other person is buying or selling US dollar just to keep under their mattress in case things go south.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, a lot of the guys, one of the guys that I used to work with, he deals with like silver and gold and stuff like that. It's just a silver
Yeah.
coin. Are you done? You're done? Yeah. Yeah, he's real big into like the crypto and all the coins and stuff like that. So I know there's a huge market for it. Uh,
Mm.
so I do have to. When I said football, I take it you meant soccer, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I just didn't have like I thought of putting it in one of the other responses, like, yo, when I said football, I meant soccer. I I know nothing about football except the shape of the ball and that there's a quarterback.
No, that's yeah. When I read that you were when I read Zimbabwe, I was like he probably meant soccer. There's probably that's probably what he meant, and I know enough about soccer to get by. So like we could still definitely talk about it. Um, I got some great advice questions I think that are coming up. Uh, I do want to ask you about the crypto stuff as an extreme sport in Africa. That sounds pretty dope. So we're gonna touch on some stuff if you don't mind.
Not at all, not at all.
All right. So I'm gonna basically just go ahead and do the introduction, roll into it. I'll let you introduce yourself, and we can kind of go from there. All right, my man.
Cool, ready.
All right. Hey, and welcome to Parrot Gaming Productions, where my name is Jared, and this week we have a guest from across the pond. His name is AllmightZW. That actually stands for Zimbabwe. I just learned that about 30 seconds ago. So, All Might, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Yo, like you said, name's AllmightZW. Avid gamer. Been gaming since I was, I think, 7. And I know this won't count because the first game I got my hands on was like Solitaire. And then I was like, what? Computers can do this? And then that sort of a few years on, I like to take pride in the fact that I'm a failed musician here in Zimbabwe. That was just after high school into college. I was in a boy band with my best friend and a couple other buddies. And then we were told, grow up, go to school, go to college, which we did. And now we all work pretty much boring jobs. Mine is pretty decent. I got to lead a product development for Zimbabwe's own take of an Uber solution. So e-hailing, the first one, and that's been pretty cool. But when my job is stressing me, I go back to what pleases me the most, which is gaming.
All right, so you work for a company that's basically akin to Uber in Zimbabwe. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, well, actually, the company I work for is a big telecom company, but it's a telecoms company that started solving other solutions. They're like, look, we can't just give people mobile network and stop there. So they got into mobile money as well. The digital insurance that you can just get from a mobile phone, and then they were like, "Yo, let's try this mobility thing." I just was lucky enough on hand and very interested in that sort of thing. I got to work for it.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. To work for a company that does so many different things, that usually helps out because it allows you to expand if something goes sideways on your project. Then that's pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
in my little questionnaire thing, you had mentioned that you had just started Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've seen that it just ported over to PC. Did you do the PC port, or were you trying it on PlayStation?
I was trying it on PlayStation. Um, my PC that I use for gaming,
Mm.
it has given up on me. Whenever I try playing a game on it, like I tried the last game I seriously tried to play on it was Divisions
Mm-hmm.
1. And whenever I'd be playing the online mode with one of my friends, like he'd be telling me we're getting shot while my screen is still loading the new environment. And by the time it's done, I'd be dead. And I looked at the cost of getting a new laptop. Well, that's messed up. And I decided it was cheaper to get a PS4, and then I shifted to that. So Zero Dawn is on PS4.
Okay. So what was your gaming laptop like? What did you start off with? Was it just a pre-built or something like that, or?
Yeah, it was pretty much pre-built off the shelf. Like if I really want to go into it, it wasn't even a gaming PC. I was abusing it,
Okay.
and now the fans go crazy all the time and won't shut up because of the years of abuse.
No, that's fair. So I know that over here in the U.S., and basically anywhere abroad, a lot of people are having issues with trying to get their hands on a PlayStation 5. Is the shortage pretty bad over where you're at, over in your part of the country?
Woo, yeah, yeah. It was my birthday last month. My wife wanted to get me a PS5 because I had been harping about it for a good like 5 months. I wanted to make sure. And she came back to me. She's like, "Yo, look, I can't get them here. When I can get them, it's double the price in the UK. Like people are selling them for as much as 2,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
Like here in Zimbabwe. I did find one guy online who was selling them for $800, and the beauty of it was like he was like, "So you'll pay me for the PlayStation, but I don't know when I'll get it, and I don't know when I'll deliver." And I was like, "Wow, I would love to give you my $800 and watch you disappear." Uh, the PS5 is fun. Do you have one, or are you mostly on PC?
I'm strictly PC. I used to be a console guy, and then what ended up
Mm.
happening was a buddy of mine kept talking about how great PC games were and how I should jump over. So I finally bought one, and I was playing like World of Warships. I know it's like the most popular game, but then it was like, let's get into some first-person shooters, back into my genre, and I started using mouse and keyboard, and I can't use a controller anymore. It's impossible. I was trying to play a game the other day, and I'm just like it felt alien to me. It felt absolutely alien.
It's actually funny. I had written down that I wanted to ask because I would have thought you'd be one of the people who are able to do that. So because I started in when I started now playing on my own machine, like my first 15, 20 years of gaming were on other people's consoles at
Hmm.
the arcade or at other people's houses. So when I finally could afford to game on my own stuff, it was on PC. And I strictly believe you cannot play an FPS with a controller. It's I don't understand it. I don't know how people can get the cursor to like how are people getting headshots on like Fortnite with the controller? I can't do it. I can't
It
like
I don't know if you remember Modern Warfare 3, like the old school Modern Warfare 3. That was my game. Like I was real good at it, and it was just practice, man. Hours and hours and hours. I mean, it was funny because there's a girl that I used to play with that I've actually talked to on the show, and
mhm.
we had a little competition, and it was like, all right, whoever can prestige go from zero to the next prestige. And let me tell you, when I was running through that prestige, oh, I got real good. Like I was like, headshots are easier to kill people. Yeah, let's do that. So it's that constant years of practice. Just and it with mouse and keyboard, it's a little bit easier, but on controller, I don't know. It was all right, but now I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, it's because of the whole controller thing. I downloaded Warzone,
Hmm.
um, went into a couple of lobbies, which I'm pretty sure are like the new lobbies. I died so bad I deleted it within 2 days. I was
Yeah.
like, I, I would really like to see. I'll look and see if I can find like a mouse and keyboard solution that I can use for PS, and then maybe I can go back into first person shooters. I tried Apex. I suck at Apex because of the whole controller thing. On PC, I did better. The only first, and it's not even a first person shooter. Rogue Company. Um, Rogue Company, it's a lot easier because I think it's third person
Hmm.
most of the time. So yeah, I've done a little better on that one. Though when I started, I joined the Japanese server. I'm never doing that shit again
Yeah.
for any game. I'm not going on for any game. Those guys are beasts.
Well, do you watch streamers? Like, do you go on Twitch and watch like Ninja or Doctor Disrespect or any of those guys that live stream
I watch a few, but most of the streamers that I've watched have been for FIFA
for
soccer.
FIFA? Okay.
Most was that became my addiction this past year. I spent so many of my years buying. I almost said buying, but I played bootleg. I played bootleg versions of FIFA from like 2004 to 2018, 19. 2020 was the first one I bought. I was like, wow, this online game mode where I can play against people in another country is intense. But yeah, those are the only streamers who are into FIFA.
Okay.
Who are you on the stream
Uh,
except yourself?
I don't know. I don't like watching myself on stream. I know I suck. There's a couple of guys that play Warzone, and
Mm,
Doctor Disrespect is a pretty good one. I just like his highlights, but they do use mouse and keyboard. But there's one guy that Doctor Disrespect plays with. I forget what his name is. Z-Laner, and he does this. It's like a claw thing. It's a specific way that you have to hold the controller, and it's like a superior way to play. And I mean, you watch these guys, and they're just lasers with their aim, and they're using a controller. And some of the streamers are using mouse and keyboard, but yeah, if you get a chance, I'd look. I think it is called the claw, and it's the way that you hold the controller, and it makes it 1,000 times easier to get those laser headshots and to do what they're doing.
I think I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I pretty much written off first person shooters for PS though. Like it's hard. I
No,
think
that
that's why I got into Dawn. Adventure games have always been, I feel, a lot easier on console.
how is Horizon Zero Dawn been with that adventure stuff? Like, is it a little bit easier than you anticipated, or?
It actually is. I have come across a few hard spots, but it's literally been very easy. Like you breeze through once you've done the tutorial. I don't know, maybe I need to see if I can up the difficulty a bit. But with Zero Dawn, you can literally get yourself into trouble and not not sneak away, set off a chain reaction of dangerous shit and John Wick out of it with a bow and arrow. And so it's cool. It's good for when I'm not stressed and I want to relieve myself in the game. Like I'll slowly play and make progress and not have any issues.
I've had a lot of people tell me that it's a really good game, and a friend of mine, she is not a gamer, but she loves playing it. Would you say it's still worth the high price point that they're talking about, that they're trying to sell it for?
I would say it is. I would say it is. I know it's gotten, well, personally from my own experience, I know it's gotten a lot harder to justify high price points for games where people are not like going to play online and play against each other. Because a lot of us now enjoy just playing games where you're going to have a community and you're going to play with people and chat. So it always comes off very weird when a game that you're going to play by yourself sitting at home has a high price point. But I would say it's worth it. I didn't buy it though. I just waited for it to be free on PS Plus. Which is pretty cool. Don't judge me. I am a bit thrifty.
Dude, I'm not judging you. My Steam library is filled with like, I think I have like 20, 30 games or something like that, and I want to say 95% of the games I bought were all on sale. I've only paid full price for two games, the new Battlefield and the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect. Those are the two games I've paid full price for, and that's it. Everything else, Steam sale. Oh, I'll take that for $2. Yes, thank you very much. So,
Like I still have reminders for Steam sales because I like to see some of them come through. There are games that even though my laptop is pretty much crap, I will still buy because I know it'll have a good time, especially if they're anime related titles. So any of the Naruto Revolutions, like whenever those get cheap, I wanna buy them, especially because I can play against my younger brothers and kick their butts. That's that's really it.
okay. So you mentioned little brothers and kicking their butt. Me and my cousins used to come over to, when I was younger. My mom bought us a PlayStation 1, and I don't know if you remember Tekken 3 at all. Yeah, you know.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
That
So
was
we used to all get together, and we would, the loser would hand their controller off. I didn't win that much. Not gonna lie, I didn't win that much. But did you do that with your brothers, where you'd all fight together on I think it was Street Fighter 5. Was that what you guys did?
yeah. A lot of the time. So unfortunately for me, there's a huge age difference between my younger brothers and myself. There's
Okay.
a 10-year age
Wow.
difference. So they only started gaming when I think they were like 7, 8, and by that point I was already like 18. But they were like fast learners. So obviously, with most of the fighting games, like experience, I feel will always beat people. Like if a new Tekken comes out today, I'll bust out Yoshimitsu, and even though I won't learn most of the newer skill sets early, I'll be able to kick someone's butt like significantly, which I was able to do. But what I did with my younger brothers, we played Far Cry, and it was Far Cry 2. My
Ooh.
mom had these two laptops she had from work, so we would literally just create our own little LAN network, and then just go at it head to head, just kill each other. I think they looked forward to that because I was a bit of a bully when they were younger. They really looked forward to that. But that was fun. That was fun.
That's creativity. That's being a gamer right there. Taking something that probably shouldn't be used for gaming and turning it into something amazing. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome, man.
Dude, we've done some crazy things. Obviously, like I was telling you, most of the games that I've owned were bootleg versions. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and 3, um, me and some good friends of mine, we always used to meet up. We haven't done it in like a year and a half since the lockdowns. So we would literally just pick a Saturday out of a month, pick someone's house and get there, have our router, and everyone connects to that router via LAN cable, and then we just have head to head and go through it like 10 hours straight. It got difficult to explain to our wives when people started getting married, but it was a lot of fun. It
Oh
was
my
a lot of
God.
fun.
Dude, that straight brings me back. Like, I used to go over to a buddy's house. We used to call him Stoner because his last name was Stone, and the R was added for obvious reasons. But like, he was a god at Halo. Like when Halo first came out, and what we'd
Yeah.
do is, he'd have his two Xboxes, and he'd be like, "All right, just go out and just get in the middle of a map," and I just run around in the middle of the map doing whatever. And he'd be doing those 360 no scopes with the sniper rifle, and just we'd be winning, and it'd be so much fun just to play. Get in a group where we just all play games. And dude, I miss that stuff so much. I mean, when I was actually in, I think it was Iraq, we all had Halo on our laptops, and we would do the exact same thing. We'd plug them all into we'd LAN it all up and just go to town. Man, wow, that brings me back, dude.
I feel like obviously that has been replaced with all this online gaming, but for us to be able to do that, be actually sitting in the same room and see, like, yeah, I can go to TikTok and watch rages happen, but the memories of watching my friends rage because you knifed him instead of shooting on a flipping map, that was crazy. And we had one friend, Irfan, is his game name was Dorian. He was mad. He started at Unreal tournaments, and then even with the Call of Duties. He Dude, like, we would be at like 20, 30 kills at the end of the game, and he'd have 100, and like 50 of those would be him just knifing us all over the map. And dude, you can imagine the frustration that kicks in. We would have smashed our laptops if we could afford to buy any others. It was bad.
Yeah, everyone's got that friend that is just exceptionally good at the game, and you can't ever beat him, and it's annoying. But when he's on your team, you're happy. When he's on your team, you're happy.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly. What was it like for you gaming when you started? Were you able to like get a console? Like, obviously, this is me segueing to
yeah.
how nice gaming was in the third world.
Um, it was. I think the only reason why I got a console is because my parents were divorced and my dad wanted to have a leg up, so he bought us a PlayStation 1. And so, of course, my mom was like, "Oh, I gotta get him a PlayStation 1." But I actually talked about it in the last podcast. For me, gaming
Mm.
was saving up my allowance, getting a whole bunch of quarters, and going to like the local pizza shop and just playing some games. Like on the Friday night when one of our parents took us out. I was usually never the kid that had the console until the divorce actually happened, and I got lucky because my dad wanted to one up my mom. But I don't know, what was it like for you then growing up? Give us a little insight.
Um, well, I'll start at almost the end. I bought my first console when I was now working, so I was like 22. I YOLO'd most of my pay into getting a PS2, even though I think the 4 was out by then. But it's what I could afford at the time.
Yeah.
Growing up, um, like, well, after my experience with the solitaire, I loved games, but I could never really get places to play, and the arcades were in town, so you'd actually have to like take a transit, go all the way into the CBD to actually play, which you couldn't do by yourself when you're too young. So it'd
Mm.
have to be a day when my mom is feeling really, really, really good. She's like, okay, let's go. She knows she can dump me there, shop the whole day, and she'll find me still glued there. And then we moved to this complex where there was this one kid uh, who had a laptop in his room. I was like, no, not a laptop. He had a desktop, and he had FIFA 2000 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I'd go to his place each and every day just so that I could get a chance to play. And this was playing FIFA with keyboard keys, not even like with the controller. Playing with the keyboard keys was crazy. And the worst part was he had the stuff, but he wasn't really crazy about gaming. So sometimes I go, I'm like, oh, today I really want to play FIFA. And I get there and it's like, yo, let's play tennis outside. And can't exactly say no, because you say no, then like he could throw a hissy fit and be like, okay, so we're not playing like on the desktop either.
Mhm.
So some days when I'd be really ready to go play, that's what would happen. He wouldn't play. And then the shops right close to home, they had two arcade machines set up. One of them was Final Fight, I think Final Fight 2, and the other one was Shinobi. Man, I lost, well, the equivalent of quarters. I lost so many of them to those. There was a point when I was like in 7th grade where I'm pretty sure I was addicted. I would go there first thing in the morning and not eat all day, and then go back home at like 5 p.m. But what happened was I got better. I got so good. I could go there with like just one coin, and then I would watch other people play for like an hour, and then once there was a bit of a crowd, I would then play. Get to like the further stages in Final Fight or Shinobi, and then once the other people are playing, when they get stuck, they'd be like, "Yo, do you want to just get me past this stage?" And I get more game time that way. Other people just like leave me a coin or two, and that's how I got to play most of it. I got really pissed off at my mom. We went for holiday in Dubai when I was 10, and we saw the PlayStation. It was, I think, like 25% of the price that we could get it for in Zim, and she said no. And yeah, I think it was after that I that I had my proper addiction. But it was like that for the longest. I'd have to play it at my friends' places until I could finally get myself a console. And yeah, ever since then, now throwing like 4-6 hours at a time after a long day at work. I don't mind sleeping at 4 a.m. and being groggy for working meetings. I could blame it on anything, COVID symptoms, anything. I just want to tell you the truth.
Man, that I feel you. I was I remember at such a young age, you just game. There's no stopping you. It's just you go. There's no next. I God, like just the countless times you're like, all right, I'm gonna play for an hour, and then you look over the clock, you're like, oh, it's 4 a.m. Okay, cool. Jesus.
I think that's a nice thing about being a gamer and getting just caught in that environment and losing track of time.
Yeah. So I do have to ask with the FIFA the FUT what is it, because I know what the MUT stands for in the NFL stuff. What is the FIFA Ultimate Team? Is that what the little acronym is
Yeah.
for? Okay.
Yeah.
How is that is it how do I know what I'm trying to ask here. Damn it. It's right there on the tip of my. Does it cost a lot of money to play the FIFA Ultimate Team?
Like real world dollars.
Yeah, real world currency.
Luckily not. They say you can earn all of the coins that you need just by playing the game, and a lot of people will grind it out and do that. A lot of people actually just open foot accounts to just be like traders. Like they anticipate objectives that are gonna come. They buy all the cards that are in those objectives, and then whenever like the objectives actually do come out that way, they start selling them at huge profits, and then they end up with tons of money on their accounts. So real world money does then kick off, because some people end up buying either those accounts that have like the shitload of coins, or there are some sites that will let you buy the coins, though it's not legal. If FIFA finds out, you'll get your account banned.
Yeah.
But I like none of my friends buy it. It's mostly like a financial thing. But it, you don't need a lot of money, and FIFA does allow you to buy points that you can use to open like packs to try and get players. But a lot of people don't end up doing that because they've seen that it's really about luck. So you can never use coins to get like a definitive player. Let's say Cristiano, who would be one of the best players in the game. So you can never actually go to FIFA and say, look, here's my $1,000. It's an equivalent of 1,000 FIFA coins, and use that to like because you buy FIFA points, and FIFA points can't buy players. Only coins can buy. So they've made it such that the money can't really get you the best players, because I've seen some Twitch streamers like Nepenthes talk about pouring in like more than, I think it was 30K in this year's FIFA, just buying FIFA points. And he would legit tell you, I poured in all this money and I only got like one Team of the Year card. And this is after opening thousands of packs. So I don't know. I like it kind of hurts that way. Is it different with MUT?
I tried to play the MUT and I quit after like 10 minutes. I did like a few objectives. I realized that I was like, this grind is going to be ridiculous. I was like, there's no way I'm going to pull this grind off. And like, it's almost like you have to have a second job from what I've noticed. I thought I heard that EA Sports was going to make it so that way it's not so much of a gamble, where you can be like, I want to buy this pack, and then you open up the pack, or the pack opens up and is like, this is what you're going to get if you purchase it, and it's no more, because that was the biggest thing, is that it was a gamble before. And now I think what they're doing is that it's no more of a gamble, where when you go to buy a pack, it says this is what you're going to get, and you can make the decision if you want to buy that pack, instead of taking the gamble on it to have the $30,000 in whatever currency, and you only get a good card. I mean, that'd be the equivalent of trying to buy Pokemon cards and you only get one shiny out of 30, out of like 20 to 30 packs, which is horrible. So
it is. Like, it's funny that you'd actually say that, because I had read a few articles about some countries saying foot was gambling and sort of in their countries. And I think it was towards Team of the Season, which must have been like April, May, on foot, they did introduce the feature, though it's not on all of the packs.
Yeah.
So for all of the packs, I think we usually could get like 2 bronze, 2 silver, and 2 gold. You could purchase any one of either of those. So they've created one of each, an additional one, where you can actually preview before you then make the decision to buy. So I think that's where they're actually trying that out, where you actually see that, oh, okay, this is a crap pack, and then you don't buy, and it probably takes out the gambling element. If they actually do go with that for FIFA 22, for example, it'll be really cool. It is a bit annoying because once you preview, currently with the feature, once you preview, that's the only preview you get for 24 hours. So once you've done a preview, now you're stuck with the choice. If you have the coin and you wanted to buy a lot of packs, you're stuck with the choice to either buy that pack so that you can preview some more, or go back to the normal ones where you're just gambling.
EA Sports, they do the absolute bare. We'll give you a preview. Oh, you get one preview for 24 hours. Oh my god, they're scum. I hate them so much. Because I've had the argument. One of my ideas for like FIFA, or like for Madden, NFL, or any of those, or like NBA or whatever, they should just put out a game, and then like how Modern Warfare has seasons and stuff like that. Instead of going, oh, here's FIFA 22, here's FIFA 23, just go, okay, the game looks good enough, the mechanics are good enough, let's keep the same game, and then they sell like a DLC pack for like $5, and it like updates the rosters, it does this, does that, so you're not putting out a brand new game and spending another $60-$70, or however much it is in your currency. And I feel like it's just and then I don't know how FIFA is going to turn out, but Madden 22 is a horrible game. I've seen so many little YouTube clips of exploits already, games glitching, and it's just, I mean, like, it got a 7 on like a game review site that usually is pretty lenient. I see a lot of
Oh,
8s and 9s, but it got a 7, and then like they ripped it on like 2 or 3 categories. It's like, dude, you got a 7 on this site? Like that's bad. Like that's bad.
I think it's going to be really nasty. I saw a couple of YouTube videos. I didn't watch any of them this morning. Where apparently from the guys who have gotten to test the beta for FIFA 22, they're complaining that the goalkeepers are overpowered. So already people are finding they're finding flaws in it. But I think you're actually very right. They just need to make one really good game. Like, okay, they don't even need to do it for like 5 years at a time. They could do it for literally even just 2, and we'd be grateful.
Yeah.
Even if they just did for like 2 years, because everything that they need to give us in the newer version can come in a new update.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't keep count of how many times we updated FIFA 21, but I remember FIFA 20 on PC. For the whole year, we had 21 updates. 21 game updates, and not even like tiny updates. It'll be like a 15, 20 gig update. And if they can do that to you 21 times in a year, they can instead of putting a FIFA 22, just make it a season and upgrade the stats of the players and do that. But I think they don't do that for the money. They could make us buy season passes for half the cost of buying the game, because I know this year I wanted to get the Ultimate Edition. I did get last year, but I waited for Black Friday. But this year I wanted to pre-order for the Ultimate. So that's like $100 versus just getting the standard at like 60.
Yeah.
And I'm what's unfair is if I decide to not buy FIFA 22, they stop allowing the like FIFA 21. At some point, it won't get updates anymore, even just for player stats.
Yeah.
Like, don't update gameplay, it's fine, but just let like the teams update and player stats. But they stop. Like EA is really bad on that. Like, they're really asking money.
I hate the fact that you're spot on. I don't like how EA just refuses to do some of the most basic mundane things. Like, I think when I bought Men 21 because it was a Steam sale, I'm just like you, wait until there's a sale. I'm not paying full price for a football game that I play for maybe an hour or two at a time. But like for me, it was crazy because it's like as soon as I bought the game, I was like, these rosters are outdated. These guys have moved. Like, how hard is it to have your like? I don't know what specifics go behind it. Like, is somebody actually like sitting there moving everybody manually? There's got to be a system in place where just like the teams submit their rosters to the NFL, and then they could run an algorithm or something like that to pull off of that and make the adjustments in the game, and then do like a quick update. How hard is that? It can't be that hard.
Like the reason why I know it's definitely not hard is because when you played in the bootleg game space, there's people who are serious enough to make mods that will have updated kits, updated faces in the games, as well as like the rosters updated. But FIFA will give you the game with one of your like the best and most promising upcoming kids, and they'll have a generic face. You're like, y'all, you can really look and you're like, okay, y'all know he's black. This if I go to be a pro and create a player, and I just say randomize, that is the character I'm gonna get, and that's what they'll do for some of the most promising players. But there's individuals out there who can go out and actually update faces. Man, like EA's got the resources to do it. They just choose not to. Like, even when they then say, "Oh, we've got a new game." I remember like when 22 came out, because I played the bootleg versions for so long. Career mode was the most important thing for me. So managing a team and getting players. So they finally added this feature where we could always like sim matches instead of playing all of the matches. But in the older versions, you'd sim it and it just instantly give you a score, and you could have lost a game. Trust me, I would force close the game a lot of times because I wanted to put in game and then I'd lose it, but I'm not supposed to. So this time they added a feature where you can watch it seam. It'll just be like dots on the screen moving around. You can see the ball, and then you can choose to go in at any point. So if you get a penalty, you get a kick, or even just while the ball is moving, you can jump in. And I was like, man, FIFA could have given us this years ago.
Yeah.
Because I used to play Football Manager, which is like it's just a management game. You don't get to play the actual games. So you just decide who's going to be on the team. You decide the training, and it had features like that. But they'll just do the bare minimum, like you're saying, to get the money. The problem is the online community is so nice. I don't think I can give it up now that I'm in there. I don't see myself going, no, EA, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to cancel them. I'm going to buy it.
Oh yeah, when Madden 22 goes on sale, like I fully believe that Madden 22 is going to go on sale probably like 3-6 months after it comes out. Oh, I'm gonna be sitting there with my debit card, just going, all right, when it drops, when does it drop? Like, I'm gonna do it. It's updated, it's new, it's got it's got the new stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna do it. I like the game, I like the updated roster, I like all the updated stuff. I'm gonna do it. It's just I'm not gonna pay full price. But yeah, there are so many modes that they have that it like, how does this small AAA title do this, but yet this big company that has billions, literally billions of dollars, not be able to do that? You know?
Yeah, it's really weird. But I guess this is just them finding the perfect way to make money. It's like the way people always complain that with iPhones, nothing ever really changes. Like I remember the 1 year, like iSheep were out here celebrating that they finally had a file manager, like, and that was one of the new things. I like iPhone, so another one of my flaws, but it's so weird. So sometimes you just realize they're brands some of us love, they're shafting us, but like we're there for the ride, giving them the lube.
It's funny that you said iPhone because my mom loves the iPhone. When she was working for the hospital, she finally just retired, thank God. But the hospital would give her an iPhone. Like they'd just be like, "Here's the new iPhone." As soon as the new one came out, and like now that she's out, she's like, "Ooh, the new iPhone 12 looks great." And I was like, "It's the same thing, Mom." But she's like, "I'm gonna upgrade." And I was like, "All right, cool." Like when you upgrade, I'll take your old phone. So. I think it's just the new shiny version usually has just something extra that's out there. And I know that iPhone does have a lot of those innovations where they're like, check this out. And it's like, Android's had that for years. Like, I remember they're like, introducing Swipe. And I was like, I've had that for like years. Exactly.
Like, Swipe, like, and they'll actually do it. What I believe is most of these things just have social currency. Mm-hmm. That's really why people are doing it. It's because iPhone people will ask each other. They'll see an iPhone, they can see that's an 11, but they'll say it in the worst tone they can. Oh, is that an 11?
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, and it's funny because like I'll buy I get prepaid phones. I don't do the contracts. This is the phone that I have now is the first like legit Android that I bought straight up. But like I'd have like a $50 like just generic whatever, and it performs the same function as like a 2-3 as something that's 2 or 3 more times the cost. And that's one thing I've never liked about iPhone is that I tried to I would try to go on like Facebook or Craigslist or some local buy sell place, and someone's like the iPhone 8 $500, and he's like, I can get a brand new one out of the box for like $2, right? It's
and that's so I feel like that's exactly what EA is doing to us.
Yeah,
they know you're a gamer, you're going to want to talk shop with fellow gamers, and if you don't get onto Madden 22. What are you talking about? They know if you're a streamer, and you make money off your views, you obviously want to make sure that you get the new game as it comes out. You're not going to say no. And once the streamers start and the influencers, then we all start, falling into line and trying to do the same thing.
Well, what's worse is that sometimes the streamers get the games for free. They get them for free. So it's yeah, like oh I got it 2 days early. It's like oh, what the fuck? Yeah, yeah, of course you get it 2 days for
Yeah,
2 days early. You influence thousands of people to purchase a game at even if it's say $50 a pop. That's like 50K just in your market alone. So like yeah,
exactly.
it's horrible. It's horrible. So I did enough gaming. We've touched on gaming quite a bit. So I appreciate it. The last guy I talked to wasn't that big into it. You had mentioned that you one of my questions is Marvel or DC, and your answer was that you get moist every time a trailer drops. I gotta ask, what kind of tingles did you get watching the most recent Spider-Man drop?
Ooh, ooh. Yeah, like I loved it, and I don't know if it's because I'm a fanboy, but it's now the thought of okay, Tony Stark is gone, no more Iron Man, and I was like, what are they gonna do for the next Spider-Man? Because this Spider-Man has been heavily reliant on some of the other heroes coming in for the conversation, and then them making it Doctor Strange. It for me, like Marvel action is crazy, but the conversations are also always like killer. So I'm already like if I could pay for my ticket now for Christmas when the movie comes out, I would, because I feel like it's gonna be crazy. I don't know. I'm gonna see with the other trailers when they come out in terms of we saw we're getting. I think it looks like we're gonna get Green Goblin, Doctor Octo, like that's pretty cool. I guess also Spider-Man's lucky he has almost the most villains with equal standing,
Yeah.
so they can do a bit more with him. But I'm really curious as to what they are going to do, because yeah, the Spider-Man villains haven't been doing the most.
Yeah.
Like most of MCU has been about villains and anti-heroes.
Yeah.
We've all been loving your Deadpool. Man, like I wanted the Avengers to win throughout the whole Avengers series,
Mm-hmm.
but Thanos was a very good villain. Like you could understand what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So I just fear that with Spider-Man, I'm worried that their villains won't have as much substance, but there'll be tons for me to watch and laugh and actually enjoy.
Well, I saw the trailer, and I've become a big fan of watching the first teaser trailer, and that's it. I try to shy
Yeah.
away from anything else because I feel like sometimes trailers give it away. And the way I watch a movie, I've said this a million times. I shut my brain off and I just let the director tell me something. Like I shut my brain off and I let the director direct. So I'm like, tell me your
Yeah.
story, how you want to tell it. And I remember, I was watching it. I saw the OG Doctor Octopus come out, and I was like, oh snap, here we go. And then there, you hear William Dafoe do his little cackle in the background. And you're like, oh yes, he's back. And it's this build, and you're like, are they gonna do the Sinister Six? Like, are they gonna bring the Sinister Six in and just have Peter get that snot knocked out of him? Like, I'm excited.
That'll be that'll be like, so now that you've watched that first teaser trailer and you're curious about whether it's going to be the Sinister Six or not, are you really going to ignore the other teaser trailers that are going to come out? Are you going to wait for the movie, see if it's just going to be the Sinister Six?
Oh yeah, most of. I don't even care if it's just Doctor Octopus and Green Goblin. I don't care if it's just those two. But if the Sinister Six comes in and starts knocking it around, oh, I don't care. It's whatever. It's got William Dafoe. He was a great Green Goblin. Like, I felt like the OG Tobey Maguire. Like, I will always love that guy. I loved what he did. It was a very early iteration of Spider-Man, but they did the best they could. And William Dafoe was such a good villain. He was so good. Like, he really hammed it up. He pandered to what Green Goblin could be in real life. And then Dr. Ock did a pretty decent job as well too. So to have those guys come back, and then J. Jonah Jameson, like that, the guy, I don't remember who plays him, but he's still the same OG reporter. Like, I think it's amazing that they're bringing all these guys back who have acting power that can really bring character to life. And I don't care if it's just the 2 or if it's the full Sinister Six and they're bringing back OG everybody. I would just be thrilled to see Spider-Man have to have his hands full where, you're right. He's not relying on Tony. Tony's not there. He can't help him out. And Strange seems people on the internet are always already speculating about Strange not being the Doctor Strange we already know because he would never cast a spell like this. So like maybe, he's going to be kind of more of a let Peter get the snot knocked out of him for a little bit instead of where Tony comes in and rescues him with a whole Iron Man fleet. So I'm interested to see what happens to Tom Holland and Spidey. I don't know. What do you got there?
Yeah.
I rambled on a bit. I'm sorry.
No. I feel like listening to you. I was like, damn, I should have thought a lot more about it when I was actually watching it. But there is a lot of nostalgia that comes through when it comes to Spider-Man. I mean, one of the benefits of growing up in a third world country is it'll be the year 2000, and our local TV station would still be showing like early 90s, 80s Spider-Man shows. So we got to see some of the really, really nasty ones where you could we could see that this is terrible. And then we got to see Toby come in. We got to see Andrew Garfield. I loved Andrew Garfield as a Spider-Man, though. Mm-hmm. Like Tom Holland is damn. He's just too good. So there's a lot of that, and Willem for me made sure that Spider-Man 1, that Tobey Maguire one, is still one of the best Spider-Mans I've watched, like 21st century Spider-Man, because he played their characters so well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do it. But I do hope he gets his butt kicked. Like it'll be good. It'll be good. It will make for a really good movie. Yeah. And I hope none of the other guys from the MCU show up. Like I feel like Spidey is getting too much backup in his movies. They need to trust him enough. Like I'm sure it could still be a good enough movie with just Spidey. And if obviously they wouldn't do this, but if they were going to go the whole nostalgia route, just imagine if they did a Spider-Verse thing and we did get Tobey and maybe even Andrew Garfield in this one, because of the whole we're trying to set a spell, we mess up time, and I would wet myself if that happened.
Well, I've seen all those posters where Tobey Maguire's got a bit of a beard, he's all beaten up, he's got a really weird old Spider-Man jacket on, and he just looks rough and tough, and he looks like a old man Logan, he looks like he's been through some shit, and he's grizzled, and because he's the OG Spider-Man, and you just look at all this stuff and you're like, what, that'd just be awesome. I was never a fan of Andrew Garfield. I felt like they rebooted it way too fast, but just to see the crossover between how they go, okay, here's OG Spider-Man, here's Spider-Man 617, and then here's our Tom Holland. It's just I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. What could they do, the different things that they could obtain by making a crossover. And you're right, Spider-Man can hold his own. The Tom Holland Spider-Man can hold his own. When he was fighting Bucky Barnes, and he stops the vibranium arm, and it's he can handle his own. He can do some shit, but then you put him against somebody like Captain America, who's just a superior fighter, and he just gets his tail whooped. It's you gotta let him grow. I think Tony did hold his hand a little bit too much, and that's why I'm interested to see what Strange does with him. Where Strange is he's the kind of guy that'll let you get your ass kicked just to kind of prove a point. So
exactly,
I'm interested,
especially because he's got a ton of foresight. He can legit just sit there and watch you get your ass beat if he knows that the end result is going to be the world. Well,
yeah,
I feel like he would do it.
One of the reasons why I kind of like the new Tom Holland as Spider-Man is because I'm a fan of DC and Marvel as well. Spider-Man is my favorite MCU character, and Superman is my favorite DC character. when they did the Superman 52, it's the millions of reboots that they have in the comics. I read through, I think it was the third comic, but Superman 52, they bring him down a notch from this all powerful, god type tier character where he doesn't really get beat up too much, and you can kind of relate to how he gets beat in fights, how he gets beat up in his normal life. And I think that's why I love Tom Holland so much, because Flash is ripping on him this whole time, but he loves Spider-Man. He's like, oh, Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and then he's like, and then he just makes fun of Tom, and you're like, so you can really bring it down and relate to the characters. And I like when they make a superhero relatable in real life. It's nice when you can actually bring him down a peg or two, and you can relate to the character instead of going, well, Superman can just laser you in half, no big deal. And it doesn't really make him relatable. And I like when they do that with characters. So I'm excited. I'm pretty excited.
I think it's always good when they do that with Superman. Even what they did with I liked the angle they took with Red Sun.
Yeah.
I felt like that was pretty cool, because I feel like when you're writing Superman, it's very tempting to use the whole can do anything under the sun and just be like, like this is the guy who sneezed planets back into place when they had misaligned. Oh, he can see your spirit. Like, I guess over the years they have written so many superpowers into Superman, but it still makes for a great story. When it comes to like, unfortunately, also one of the things I know I've said many times today, the whole living the bootleg life, it's because, like, some of it isn't because I don't want to have some paid services. It's because it's always been hard to get certain things in Africa. Sometimes it's just general, this is not available in your region. Your country can, this video. Like, so sometimes it's just small things like that, like, yo, I want you to take my money so that I can also partake. And sometimes you just get that. So because of that, I feel like a lot of us here in Africa missed out on a lot of the literature when it comes to comics. I know the survey question was really difficult, because I feel like I could have, from all of the answers in it, would be true, because at the end of the day, I'm a really nerdy person, and I really love all of them, and I love anime as well. So you look at it and you're like, yeah, like, they need to do better for us. Even though DC, to be honest, I feel like DC has the best animated movies and series. Like, outside of Spider-Man, MCU is struggling with the animated ones.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't enjoy them as, and I haven't started watching What If. So. Yeah. I then didn't listen to your episode where you spoke about that, because I saw like there'd be tons of spoilers.
Yeah. The What If stuff, the animation is interesting. I'll give it that. The animation is a combination of a couple different styles. I like it. It's not something that I would sit down and watch like a series in it, but you are 100% correct. DC is astonishing with some of the ways that they do the animated series. I love a lot of the animated series that they have. It's fantastic. They do so well. I mean, like, the animation may be simplistic in its nature compared to what you can do nowadays with some stuff, but it's the way that they tell the story that really gets me. They have the ability to tell an amazing story, and it gets me all day, every day with how well that they can produce something. But I mean, the way the MCU does it, I mean, with how much they throw at some of these movies, yeah, anybody can make it look good, So I don't know. Are there any? Do you have a favorite DC character, or is it just kind of you like it as it is?
I'm trying to think. If I was to pick a DC character, I think I'd pick the Flash.
The Flash.
I think I'd pick the Flash, probably because it was one of the first ones that I was introduced to. It was the live action series. What was his name? Who played the Flash? Came back and played his dad in the newer series. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, like, it's that one. So I'd be there like, wow, this is pretty cool. So the Flash became it for me. Batman was always pretty cool, but I felt like as I got older, I was like, yeah, like Batman and Superman could do a bit too much.
Yeah.
So like it was hard for me to relate with them, like at a human point of view. I just felt like whatever problem Batman or Superman got into, the writers would just write in that he knows how to solve that type of stuff.
There's an excellent animated series. I think it's Old Man. It's about Old Man Batman where he gets older, and he really it starts showing his age, and there's a mutant group that comes out, and there's an amazing scene where he takes on the leader in an absolute stunning show of dominance, because before he got his ass handed to him, like he was almost done for, and then he learned, like he legitimately came back and learned from his mistake, and he applied that the old Batman, because a lot of what I feel is he just brute strengths his way through it. He's just like, you see those montages where he does like 50 push-ups or something like that in the morning with a green smoothie, and like Ben Affleck is just this hulk of a man, and you're just like, when is he gonna be Detective Batman? When does the detective side of him come? It feels like he just, it's like smash everybody and do it all. So the old man Batman, when he comes out, it just feels really nice because he finally, you see that he's like, I'm old now. I'm an old man. I can't just brute strength my way through it anymore. And he really has to knock it off. He really has to pay attention to the style and everything else like that. It's a great moment where you're like, okay, this is no longer just the amazing Batman that I know. He actually has to apply himself, and it's a nice little story. That if I can find it, I'll send it to you. But that you're right. They write it in to where it's just, here's the fix, and it's like, no, he's got to have an arc. He's got to figure this out on his own. So.
But you're actually quite right. They have tried to do a bit of that with Batman in the past. I feel like I'm not sure if I watched Old Man Batman. Which Batman was it from the animated series? In the end, he's dead, but the bad guy, they use like holograms to make the bad guy think that Batman is alive. And then after they're just speaking about how like, yo, Batman left us a solution, because I think he had left a flash drive or something where I was like, when this guy awakens, guys, I need you guys to solve this. But what I liked about that was he actually died, and he wasn't there to solve the problems anymore, because he's human. And then I'll digress, because this is an argument that I've had with a few people. What do you think of Ben Affleck as Batman? Like, I have felt like he's like, a lot of people don't like Ben Affleck as Batman, which I understand. I feel like he's one of the darkest Batman we've had in a while, and maybe I like it because I also liked the Gotham series, and that series is grungy as hell. Like you can see how dark Gotham is from their series, and I felt like coming out of that and then getting Ben Affleck, like. He's like your proper Batman, not a nice guy. He'll brand bad guys. He'll do all that, which most of the other Batman haven't been doing in the past. They've been like soft to a point.
I like Ben Affleck. You hit the nail on the head. He's dark. He's a broody teenager. He's a broody teenager grown up, pissed off with money. Like he's hell bent on revenge, and he's gonna do. What Batman brands, like, he knows it's a death sentence. He knows it's a death sentence. He's like, good. He's like, good. Die. You're trash. Like, get over it. And I'm like, ugh, that's teetering on his on the moral stance that, Batman has the strict no kill or whatever, but you're like, he's sticking to that moral code, but like he knows what he's doing, and I'm like, oh, that's so good. Which is why I like the Batman v Superman, because Henry Cavill had that. He had that stoic all-American, the country bumpkin kind of just mindset. And it's like these two people clashing I felt like it could have been resolved a little bit differently, but that fight where he studies Superman, instead of the gas grenade, he uses lead gas, and he's just like, he figures out all these dark little ways to just mess Superman up, and you're like, he's dark as shit. Like that's some darkness right there, and I like it. I'm interested to see what they do with Robert Pattinson though, like, because when I think of Robert Pattinson, I think of sparkly vampire pansy, you know.
I was about to say, I hope they don't give a sparkly Batman like that. That's all I was thinking. Like I'm sure he's gonna, like, he looks like he could pull it off. But I think another thing is, after Ben Affleck, I was tired of skinny Batman.
Yes.
Like I'm tired of these tiny Batman dudes. Like I feel like I finally had the Batman I was happy with. Like even Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Like he was good. I feel like I liked that one because he got beat up, like really beat up, and he had to start from scratch, literally claw his way out, and then go back to it. But these tiny Batman dudes, unless like how you were saying, we haven't been getting Batman for a while. Unless that's what we're gonna get with Robert Pattinson, like then that'll be cool.
When it comes to the whole Batman thing, I know there's a lot of controversy around what the voice modulator that that Ben Affleck wore that changed his voice versus Christian Bale doing the dark the dark voice. I think it was in the comics where like that's what Batman does. He does the gruff voice. He doesn't use a voice changer. I think the voice changer was a better idea, just simply because like it feels like somebody with that much wealth. Why would you why would you kill your voice doing that? You know what I mean?
Like, why would you buy lozenges every night?
Yeah.
Instead of just buying, like, you're right. I feel like Batman would just buy a gadget for it. Like, even his attitude, how he speaks, his money will solve my issues, and don't tell me money doesn't solve problems. Like, he would definitely go for the voice thing. And I feel like in some of the animated versions that I've come across, he's used the voice changer. So
yeah,
like I was pretty okay.
And I mean, even in some of the animated series, he doesn't even change his voice. It's just like he just doesn't even try. He talks like normal, and it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And it kind of goes back to like the Superman thing, like how people are like, oh, how do they realize he's Clark Kent? There's a really cool comic. I think it was in a 52 where they showed like Superman standing straight up where Clark Kent's got this real big hunch. He's got the glasses on, and you can really see the difference between how he portrays himself as Clark Kent versus how he portrays himself as Superman. And I think that's probably what happens with Batman. You got this big rich playboy who's standing up straight, and then whereas Batman's maybe got a little bit of a curve on himself, and he kind of mirrors the opposite of Superman. So, but I think you're spot on too. Just why wouldn't he throw money at it? I mean, wasn't it? Oh God, I think they were alluding to the Riddler in the Christian Bale series, where the guy did the accounting, and he's like, R&D is burning through millions and millions of dollars, and it's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't that be one of the things that he just comes up with? He's got the gauntlet that shoots out the things. He's got a military vehicle that can change into a motorcycle if need be. Why wouldn't he get a voice changer?
Exactly. Like I feel like it'll just be obvious, and the whole I like how you showed the difference in terms of how people don't really notice these people. Yeah. And I feel like as people who read the comics and watch the movies, we take it for granted. We take it for granted that it's Clark Kent.
Yeah.
He's Superman. Why can't you see it? But the honest truth is, if you met someone who is the cleaner at your current job, and you met them somewhere else on the same day in a $10,000 suit, there is a high chance that you would have a hard time actually recognizing them. Yeah. And I feel like that's sort of the reason why Tony Stark had to tell people that he is Iron Man. And on top of telling people that he's Iron Man, I'm pretty sure there's a reason why so many times he had to show up as Tony Stark and change into Iron Man in front of the people, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Because people still wouldn't have believed it. They'd be like, yeah, spoiled rich kid is really saving the world. Nah, like people would know, like no matter what evidence was brought out. So yeah. But I guess the base of the issue is Batman would buy a voice changer.
Yeah. All right, so I got one final question here before we kind of knock this out of the park. I had a bunch of questions, but then we started talking about Marvel and DC, and I loved it. So thank you. It was refreshing. So a gentleman by the name of Short Round Binks on Reddit asks, "What's one small inconsistency in the MCU that irks you more than it should?" So what's something small in the MCU that really kind of grinds your gears a little bit?
In the MCU, let me see. Wow, I'm really struggling. Let me know what yours is while I'm thinking. I'll let you know. Yeah.
So a little bit of what kind of grinds my gears with the MCU is the way that the timeline is set up. A lot of because things will be happening, like, because I know when they first came out with Iron Man, I don't know if they even thought of doing a whole MCU. Like, I don't know if it was a cursor. It was like, oh, we could just do a trilogy, or they wanted to do something, and then everything kind of started to jump around. Things started to happen, and you're like, well, when does this technically happen, and when is this? And I don't like how everything kind of doesn't fall into place. Where like the whole timeline of the MCU is really hard. It may not be something that's inconsistent, or it may be wrong, but it just irks me that, like, I watch, because there was a thing I read on Reddit yesterday where it's like Iron Man 2, Thor, Dark World, and then it was the Edward Norton Hulk. They were like, that all happened in one day. And it's like, okay, or like Ant-Man and the Wasp took place at the end, like that. That was happening at the same time Infinity War was happening, and you're like, but how does that? How did Scott Lang and Wasp not know? How did Ant-Man and Wasp not go, oh shit, there's a giant purple dude in like they're invading New York? How do they go from, oh, we're just gonna jump into the quantum zone to get something, when New York is getting devastated and every superhero that we know is headed towards there, and just like, no, we're gonna jump into the Phantom Zone, just do what we need to do, and then not Phantom Zone but Quantum Zone, thinking of Superman. But like, that's what irks me, is that, like, how do all the heroes just kind of do their, like, some of the heroes that we don't see, they're just doing their own thing when New York is being besieged, and it's like a cataclysmic world event. Vision and Wanda knew about New York and came over from New York, and Captain America and everybody, they were off on the other side of the world, and they knew about what was happening. It doesn't make sense that, just some of the characters were just off jogging around doing their own thing. So the timeline throws me off. The timeline irks me a little bit, because it almost like I like to be passive in a lot of things, just because like I said, I turn off my mind and I just let the director tell me a story. And when I like talk about things, it's really hard, because sometimes like I get the timelines messed up, and it feels like I have to put a little too much effort into something, and I don't like it. So
yeah, I feel like I won't be able to unsee that one now.
Yeah.
I'd actually never really thought about it, but you're very right. Like, the mere fact that they would be living, like, granted, like, Ant-Man was not someone who was even, like, he hadn't done anything really heroic at the time, even from both movies, like nothing big time heroic. Like, he probably didn't even make the news, like, at that point. All of the exploits they had done, so that could be a justification as to why they wouldn't even try. But I feel like if it was happening at the same time, like you're saying, it should have been in the news.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big deal. And now, because you brought that up, what's going to irk me for a long time now is that with how smart and how destructive Thanos was, why would he just lay siege on Wakanda on its own when he came for that stone? Like, Thanos is a guy who had been destroying planets. if he had sent an attack into New York City a few years before, and then now, why would you bring all your forces into the one place where all the heroes are when he could have just attacked multiple places in the world? And because of how many of those alien buggers he had, he could have still had an attack as big in Wakanda, but have forced the Avengers to be split up and to be in different places. That's gonna irk me. But I think when I watched the end of Endgame, the one thing that I had a problem with was Thanos was hard to beat in Infinity War. He was even harder to beat in Endgame without any of the stones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, I'll boil it down to, he's a titan at the end of the day, but it becomes difficult to comprehend. I don't understand what was more important for. This one's actually my worst one. I then remembered. I don't understand why Captain Marvel wasn't there for Infinity War. I don't care what she said she was saving in other planets.
Yeah.
But and it's worse because Infinity War was, at the end of the day, if what happened in Endgame didn't happen, the world would have, in essence, just gone the way it went after Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very big occasion. It was Thanos wiping out half the universe. What was more important to Captain Marvel than half the universe getting wiped out?
You were right, because she said that she was off saving she's like, other planets had it like way worse than you did. Bitch, the epicenter happened in on Earth. Why do you not go to Earth? These are the, I don't know. It irks. Like, I mean, I get why they're trying to fill the plot holes with things, but at the same time, like, I feel, because it's interesting. It's almost like she realizes her mistake in Endgame, where she's like, oh, I should, make this adjustment, and I should team up with these guys because they're doing all this stuff, and it irked me a little bit, too, about the whole thing. And I did read somewhere about Thanos, where the reason why he was harder to kill in Endgame is because when Thanos was in the Infinity War Thanos, he was a more intelligent Thanos than when he was from 2014, because in 2014 he was in the middle of his bloodlust. I mean, the first scene that we see from Thanos in Endgame, for the 2014, he's literally wiping blood off of his double blade. So he's in the middle of his wartime environment, and I mean, it speaks to the veteran in me, the soldier in me, that I was more fit and more capable when I was in the military, and I was more apt and prone to violence and being aggressive. Whereas now I'm a veteran, I kind of think a bit more of the intellect side, instead of going, oh, like, if I get into a fight, this is what I do. Now I'm like, well, what can I do to avoid the fight? So I think that's why in Infinity War he wasn't, he needed the stones to be more powerful. But you're right. I don't know why, if he had the knowledge in Infinity War, because one of the things that he says to Tony Stark is, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge. Well, if you're cursed with knowledge and you know about the Avengers, why don't you divide and conquer? If I have to take on the God of Thunder, all of Wakanda, and all this other stuff, and you're cursed with knowledge about the Avengers and how they operate, divide and conquer, straight up. Like, I don't want to have to take on Groot and Rocket Raccoon and all those guys. Forget that nonsense. Let's send people all over the world and hope to God they don't realize that I'm over here attacking Wakanda trying to get the Soul Stone from Vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, but I think, and now that you've just put this frame of thought into my mind, I feel like this is all I'll be thinking of for the next few weeks. Like, damn, another thoughtful. It's gonna be crazy.
I would, if you want a lot to think about, I think it's Marvel. If you just go onto Reddit, because I know that's how you found me. If you just go into Reddit and you look up some of the Marvel theories, and like there are so many good theories that are out there. A lot of them are disproven, but a lot of them you read and you're like, oh snap, that's pretty damn good. Like that's interesting. Like that I understand that. So yeah. All right. Well, All Might, I really appreciate you coming on. I've got that other appointment coming up here in a brief moment. So you do your own podcast, you said, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
What's it called?
It's called the Kaizen U podcast, sponsored by Business Blunders and Brilliance. So I started a blog a few years ago called the Business Blunders and Brilliance, where I wanted to highlight a lot of business related stuff. So I want to look at businesses that are doing well, that have just sparked a bit of brilliance, I guess, businesses, and then also where they're like big blunders. And because I've always been into tech, most of it leaned towards tech. So I did that for a few years, and then I started a blog around that. And then that sort of got a little hard to do. And then this year, I finally decided to start doing my podcast about saving and investing a lot more. So that's become the thing, because I hit 31 this year. I realized I also got married this year. And then, like a lot of realities just came to me, realizing that I didn't save all through my 30s. All through my 20s. I didn't save like anything, like at all. I literally blew that money away. And I realized that a lot of people are going through their lives feeling like, man, this is the best time of my life right now. And you spend enough time on Reddit in the different either crypto subreddits or in the fire subreddits, and you realize some people are making conscious decision to retire within 10 years and are hitting 31 and they're like, yo, I'm retired. So that's the journey I've sort of started, and I'm trying to share that journey. I really want the podcast to be something that anyone can listen to from like anywhere in the world. But the honest truth is, Africa has got like unique challenges, and that's some of the things I'm trying to make sure that I have.
All right. Well, if you're watching the video here, I've got both of his Twitters up there. The Kaizen U is his Twitter for his podcast. I'm going to find your Twitter. I'm going to find your podcast, and I'll link to it in the descriptions and everything else like that. And then the Archie Mayo, I guess, is your personal Twitter that you use. Just the personal.
Yeah, that's my Twitter.
All right. Well, I thank you for taking a step out of the business realm. I know I did kind of want to talk about crypto, but it seems that I'm really good at running out of time. So I appreciate you joining me. I really appreciate the Marvel DC talk. I really appreciate the video gaming talk. It's nice to connect with somebody who has a different background, but it seems like we have a lot of similar stories in how we grew up in video gaming. So I'm going to reach out to you again. I would really like to talk to you about crypto, so we're going to have to set up another time to sit down and when I have a little bit more time to talk about crypto and bring you back, maybe even for a segment. So I really appreciate you coming on, bud.
Thanks a lot, man. I'll definitely be free and ready for that.
All right. So to everybody listening out there, we love your faces. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time.